everyone, this is The Last Word. I'm Marya Shakil. Vice-President Mimicry issue by Kalyan Banerjee has become a full-blown controversy. A day after the video became public, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today spoke with Jagdeep Dhankhar over phone, expressing great pain at the abject theatrics of some of the MPs. President Draupadi Murmu too was dismayed at the disrespect shown to the office of Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee today said clearly and categorically that Kalyan Banerjee did not intend to insult the Vice President. And had it not been for Rahul Gandhi recording it, people would not have even known about it. Kalyan Banerjee himself issued a statement calling mimicry a art. But has the mimicry by an MP insulted the chair? Is this a new low in parliamentary traditions? That's the question that I ask on The Last Word. But first up, the story.
एमपी को सस्पेंड किया है, ये मॉकरी ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी हो गया। मिमिक्री एक तो आर्ट है, हमारा कोई इंटेंशन नहीं था उनको हर्ट करने के लिए।
After 2 days of a war of words between the government and opposition over his mimicry of Rajya Sabha chairperson Jagdeep Dhankhar, TMC MP expressed regret today, though not an apology. But that didn't quell the storm inside Parliament. An anguished chairman of Rajya Sabha questioned Congress's silence while chiding Digvijay Singh.
खड़गे जी की चुप्पी मेरे कानों में गूंज रही है। जगदीप धनखड़ की कितनी बेइज्जती करो मुझे कोई चिंता नहीं है, पर मैं ये बर्दाश्त कभी नहीं करूंगा कि मेरे पद की गरिमा मैं सुरक्षित नहीं रख पाया।
All this after both the Prime Minister and the President extended their support to Jagdeep Dhankhar. NDA MPs in Rajya Sabha rose in support of the chair during question hour.
श्री राहुल गांधी पूरा संविधान पद का और आपका अपमान किया है। पहले तो 20 वर्ष तक प्रधानमंत्री जी को अपमानित किया। पहली बार एक जाट समाज के किसान पुत्र इस लेवल पर आ गए सर, उपराष्ट्रपति तक पहुंच गए, संविधान पद को अपमानित कर रहे सर।
Protests by the opposition demanding a statement by the Home Minister on the security breach on December 13th also continued both inside and outside Parliament for the 5th day.
Shri C. Thomas and Shri M. Arif MPs.
Suspensions continued with 2 more MPs being suspended, Thomas Chazikadan and AM Arif, taking the total suspensions in both houses to 143. Protest versus protest played out outside the Parliament complex as well, with Youth Congress leaders agitating at Jantar Mantar and BJP leaders in Bhopal, as well as the Jat community protesting in support of Jagdeep Dhankhar. The opposition is also readying for a nationwide protest on Friday, a lot of action anticipated from both sides on Thursday. With Vasudha Venugopal, NDTV Bureau Report.
Tom Vadakkan, National Spokesperson of the BJP, is joining me. We have Mohan Kumar Mangalam, National Spokesperson of the Congress. Tausif Ahmed is a TMC supporter and also a political analyst. Amitabh Tiwari, political strategist. And Shubhabrata Bhattacharya is a veteran journalist. Before I bring in the politicians, I want to understand from the two analysts here, Amitabh Tiwari and Shubhabrata Bhattacharya, has a constitutional office like the Vice President of India been insulted by the mimicry? Amitabh, you can begin.
I think yes. I mean, it has gone too far. The protests have gone too far. It should not have happened. It's an unfortunate incident. However, for the VP also to make it an insult about his caste or creed is also not done. Should not have been done, because he occupies a constitutional post. He belongs to a caste or creed. It's only a secondary matter. The constitutional post is most important. So he should not be involved in the politics of this. That's number one. Number two, the people are watching. I mean, 20% of the Lok Sabha time has been passed in these issues, and around 40% of the Rajya Sabha time. So it is also a responsibility of the senior parliamentarians of both the ruling party and the opposition to come to the table and discuss and seek a way out. Politics or the parliamentary procedure should not become the casualty of politics, especially when the parliamentary elections are around the corner.
Yes. 2 days to go for this session to end, and it certainly appears that there is a total showdown, a total breakdown between the two sides. Shubhabrata Bhattacharya, sir, what's your opinion and thought on this?
I endorse my previous speaker, and also like to add that I was a bit surprised this morning to find the Vice President of India tweeting the contents of a conversation he had with the Prime Minister. A conversation with the Prime Minister and the Vice President is a privileged communication which ought to be only disclosed by the official spokesperson of the government if necessary. And in the order of hierarchy, in the order of precedence, President, Vice President, Prime Minister. Prime Minister certainly is the head of the government, but in the order of precedence, Vice President takes a position above him. So, if at all anybody should have disclosed the contents, it should have been the Prime Minister or the Prime Minister's office. So, having said that, let me also come to the thing that to mimic is a penchant of a bird called the mockingbird. And the mockingbird word was heard in the early 60s in America during the civil strife when a movie was made with Gregory.
So you are of the opinion that mimicry is an art?
And you see, the story explored the consequences of hatred and prejudice. This incident also brings us to the realm of hatred and prejudice, and I think the explanation of Mr. Kalyan Banerjee that he had no intention is not acceptable, and Mamata Banerjee saying
yes, so then in that case, Tausif, was that the right platform for that display of the art by Kalyan Banerjee? Because he is saying that this is an art, and if that art form has to be displayed, is that the right platform for it?
No, you see, we have to look. Strictly going by the statements which the BJP ministers, including the Prime Minister, has said in the last couple of years, and strictly going by the contents of what BJP MPs have said inside the House as well. If we have to take a holistic look at the entire picture, then we don't really, are surprised by what you're calling is a mimicry or the theatrics. It has become a standard, and the standard is set by the Prime Minister himself. When he performed mimicry, he used bad words, against Renuka Chaudhary, or in recent case, one of the BJP MP targeting the Samajwadi MP from UP, Danish Ali, and then calling him names. So in that context, this really does not surprise anyone. This is the level which the ruling dispensation has brought the political dispensation
but
to.
But one question that will be asked here, Tausif, that yes, what has been the conduct of the BJP MP that you're referring to is certainly, shocking and shameful, but it's not against a constitutional office upholder, someone who holds the constitution office, which is president or the vice president here. So my question then is that in the parliament premises or complex, should there have been some dignity, and have the norms of dignity and courtesy really been thrown to the wind? Mohan Kumar Mangalam, take that question. Mohan, you have to unmute yourself. If you can hear me.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry about that. I was just saying that if there's anyone who's denigrated the constitutional post that Mr. Dhankhar holds, there's no one more than himself. This is the second constitutional post. If you remember, he was governor of West Bengal, where he converted Raj Bhavan into a permanent site of protest, heckling, and expressing dissent against elected government. The two speakers who aren't politicians on the show have pointed out two very important things. One, that there was no reason for Mr. Dhankhar to bring his caste into the picture or for him to reveal a conversation he had with the Prime Minister. Now, the Prime Minister is a political animal. He looks at every opportunity, everything that happens as an opportunity to score some political points. He's done that by trying to bring in caste and to also, again, for somehow, I mean, it's quite amazing how he manages to be the most powerful man in the country and still play the victim card every chance he gets. Now, back to Mr. Dhankhar's conduct, if you go back all the way to December 22, he made a statement then in Rajya Sabha against a comment made by Mrs. Gandhi in a private Congress parliamentary party meeting, which is unprecedented, not a comment made in the House. In a private meeting of Congress MPs, she said something, she didn't even take his name, he decided to take offense and talk about it in the House. He asked for a privilege motion against MPs of the opposition in February in 2022. And now you have 140 plus MPs of the opposition that have been suspended, and important legislation that has been passed without any opposition in parliament. That is really something we should be talking about. That, frankly, is the death of democracy as we see it. India doesn't just elect a government, it elects an opposition as well. Mr. Dhankhar has made it his mission, it seems, to disenfranchise 63% of our voters who didn't vote for the BJP.
So are you then...
In doing so, I think he's denigrated his office more than anybody else. Any sort of
So Mohan,
mimicry can.
you are of the opinion that what played out on the footsteps of Parliament was all right? That if someone has denigrated according to you...
I am of a similar opinion to your earlier speakers who said that if there was someone who said the cat amongst the pigeons, it was the Prime Minister himself, whose own conduct, whose own mimicry in Parliament, his own language has done nothing to up the discourse.
So, charge that is coming in from both Tausif and Mohan is that, you have much to explain. The BJP has much to explain.
Maria, it's very interesting. The Congress party has been chronic offenders in insulting constitutional positions. It started with the President of India. She's a tribal lady from a tribal family who ended up being the President of India. And the kind of humiliation that the Congress party leaders attributed to her is shocking indeed. Then it went, the Prime Minister has been receiving this for the last 20 years. That is there on record. Now the Vice President. I mean, these are constitutional positions, and you have a mimicry performance in the footsteps of Parliament, and then you say, well, it's a fine art or an art. Well, if you have an art, to hold a show where you can invite public and do it in that region, but not on the steps of Parliament. When you insult the constitutional positions of each individual, from the President of India to the Vice President and the Prime Minister, you have come down the scale to a level where you'll do anything to get to power. Now, as to the question of the larger suspension of members, you see, this is like football. When you show the blue card, this person is suspended. But then there is a narrative, Maria, to this. It's a planned narrative that's being built. Now, there are fingerprints of some of the political parties in the breach in Parliament. There are inputs to that effect. They're expecting the Prime Minister and the Home Minister to speak in the House on issues which is under investigation. Once the investigation is completed, yes, they will do it. Similarly, it happened in Manipur. They were demanding issues on Manipur, but the hands of the Congress party in Manipur were visible. Finally, when the records were straight, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister spoke. And what happened? They walked out. Now, this is a similar trait, building up a narrative, and they have said, they have argued in favor of the terrorists who entered the house, saying they were unemployed. They were unemployed for 1.5 years. They were traveling. They were burning their own telephones. They don't look like unemployed people. They are people who have a mastermind, who has planned it out and to create a situation.
That's a subject of investigation. But all these suspensions and the various events playing around it, including this mimicry episode, is starting from what will be seen as opposition demanding a statement from the government. 2 days to go for the session to end, a record number of suspensions. The demand will not be seen as a wrong demand. If it's a security breach, an unprecedented one, then that's a valid question to ask.
Is that a question for me?
Yes, please.
Yes, I agree that's a question to ask. But let that be on record that the investigation is on. Maybe tomorrow the investigation report would come in. Maybe the opportune time will be day after tomorrow. So please wait. Cooperate, because this is a breach of the temple of democracy. Instead of protesting and doing this mimicry act at the footsteps of the house of the temple of democracy, wait and cooperate. Try and find out who are the people behind it.
Okay.
Why are you so worried?
Then my question then to Mohan and also to Tausif would be, are we not demeaning the parliamentary tradition of which we are so proud of? Mohan.
Maria, parliamentary tradition is that the executive is accountable to parliament. This isn't the first time that someone has come or jumped in from the visitors' hall down into parliament. It's happened once before. The more important issue here is that they brought in smoke canisters which could have contained anything. And the question is, when you have 3 or 4 levels of security in parliament, how did that happen? And that checking is done by Delhi police, which comes under the Home Minister.
Questions, Mohan.
Let me finish.
We as journalists have also raised it.
Maria,
but
Maria, let me finish. Let me finish. Give me a chance to finish what I'm saying.
One moment. I'm going to come back to you. Mohan, would you not say that this act of mimicry seemed to have hijacked your genuine concern? It was an irresponsible conduct.
I think the concern stands. I think it really depends on if this act of mimicry, I think, frankly, is blown out of proportion. And I think that rests on the media and not us, that the media chooses to focus on that instead of focusing on the fact that you have an opposition-mukt parliament today, important legislations being passed, and the simple question of having the Home Minister, who's actually, who's responsible for Delhi police, come and talk to Parliament and explain to the members of the opposition what he knows or what kind of investigations happening, why UAPA charges have been levied, things like that. So I have to respond to a couple of things, Maria, that Mr. Vadakan said, because a lot of them I think are unsubstantiated. He said that we encouraged or we justified the act. Absolutely not. Mr. Gandhi explained when he was asked in particular why he thought these individuals did what they did. They very plainly said it was unemployment and they were frustrated. He didn't justify. There's a big difference between explanation and justification. He spoke about us demanding the Prime Minister to come and talk about Manipur and walking out. The Prime Minister came and spoke for 2 hours and spoke about Manipur for exactly 2 minutes. It was as good as if he didn't come. And he came on the last day so that nobody could ask him questions beyond that. That is his prerogative under protocol. So I'm not going to go after that. So you can make any number of innuendos. You can say that he alluded to some of the social media posts that his party has been putting out on these people who actually attacked Parliament having something to do with either us or the TMC. But he has absolutely no answer for why Mr. Pratap Sinha, his own BJP MP from Mysuru, gave passes to these people to come into Parliament.
A quick response on that, Tom Vadakan, and then I bring in others, please.
That was the ploy that they used the BJP MP who was innocently caught in this trap. The narrative was built, and the whole narrative was to create a situation that it is a anarchy situation of anarchy. He talks about unemployment. Do you support a terrorist because he's unemployed? Is that the reply that a leader would say that my terrorist is unemployed?
No, my problem is, Tom Vadakan, that you are, yes, UAPA charges have been, leveled against them. But then what the opposition is saying, come and explain everything on the floor of the House. You're talking about a larger ploy.
Maria, you can't do a running commentary when an investigation is on. It may happen tomorrow morning, there may be a report, or day after.
Okay, so you have the opinion that perhaps before the parliament session ends, there could be a report, then why this impatience? Mohan?
Exactly.
Yes.
Nobody's asking for a running commentary on exactly the investigation, but let's not forget when Mr. Vajpayee wanted, we had a debate on the war in China when the war was still on.
Okay.
There is a lot that can be discussed in Parliament.
So constitutional principles, let me put focus back on the question that I began this discussion with.
You can't compare apples and oranges.
Constitutional principles, have they been compromised? Amitabh Tiwari and Shubhabrata Bhattacharya, 30 seconds to both of you.
Oh, that isn't?
Shubhabrata Bhattacharya.
one thing that has hurt me most in this incident is the behavior of Rahul Gandhi, a former Congress president, using his phone to videograph the mimicry. He belongs to a family which was the epitome of etiquette and political good behavior. It only shows that while he has had his education at home, he apparently didn't even learn the basic lessons of etiquette, good behavior, and political decency from the home of Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, and of course from the lineage of Jawaharlal Nehru. It's really shameful.
Amita, have the constitutional principles been compromised? Although this act, nobody seems to be justifying it, happened outside Parliament. Yes, it's in Parliament complex, but it's not on the floor of the House.
No, I think it is uncalled for. Of course, see, the opposition is asking the right questions, but the strategy they've followed is perhaps wrong. It's not well coordinated. See, people need answers. It's a significant breach of security. Even last time, the Home Minister made a statement after 10 days. We are already past 7 days now. So, and it is one of the rarest public failures of the government, which the opposition could have used to put the government on the mat. See, they could have also used it to spread the narrative that the suspensions are being done to pass bills. So many important bills are being passed, the IPC, the telecom bill, without having significant discussions. But the acts are not well thought out, as Sir said, and Rahul Gandhi, coming from a legacy of a family, should have thought twice before recording that incident. That has also given an ammunition to the BJP. So all these things need to be thought out well, and the senior parliamentarians, I am again emphasizing.
All right. Tom Vadakan, Mohan Kumar Mangalam, Tosif, Amitabh Tiwari and Shubhabrata Bhattacharya, thank you so much for joining us. That's all from me. We are putting out that discussion on ndtv.com. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.